Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started. Hey, last episode we were talking about how we can actually find other motivation besides anger and hatred to fuel our quest, our commitment to achieve justice in a case where something very, very wrong has been done. And some of that motivation can be that we, connect to a sense of greater meaning and a cause, a purpose that is perhaps even greater than our own individual circumstance, our own individual pain. For example, our concern for the welfare of our community, of our society, and wanting to help other victims, other survivors, that, we say, we are going to stay committed on our path to pursuing justice, to getting the perpetrator of that crime held accountable, and punished if necessary, so that other people don't have to face the same kind of trauma and suffering and become victims of the same kind of violence and just crime that we did. And you can do this and at the same time, commit to letting go of your anger and commit to letting go of your hatred. You see, these positive motivations, these great, deeper connections to a sense of meaning and purpose, they are more than sufficient to help you sustain your commitment to justice and to right being done. And you see, because I am somebody who has committed my life to living with inner peace and joy, and sustaining my inner peace and my commitment and my sense of contentment and fulfillment, and not only sustaining it at the level that I am at, but to continue to grow deeper and deeper and deeper in that experience. This has been a very, very important issue for me to address, to understand, to come to terms with for myself. And I can tell you that, one of the things that sort of really helped me to recognize and realize that, I can in fact have other motivations besides anger and hurt to keep me going in terms of meeting my need for justice, for right being done. And that not only is it possible, but it's important for me to utilize these other methods, to really let go of the anger and the hatred. It's okay, of course, I've been telling you again and again and again that when you choose to hold on to your anger, to hold on to your hate or any other negative emotions, you are by default choosing not to experience inner peace and joy and contentment and fulfillment in your life, right? At least not in those moments when you're experiencing the anger and the hate, because it's impossible for us to feel hate and peace at the same time, for us to feel anger and contentment at the same time, right? So that's one issue. But there is another issue for why we need to really let go of hate and anger and not be motivated in our quest for justice by hate and anger, and not give into that way of thinking that, you know what, I need to hold on to this hate and anger that I have because I need to achieve justice and peace for even my society and my community. What is that reasoning? What is that deeper reason? That is a lesson that I learned studying, these great people, these great masters, and these great models that we have had throughout our history of people who have committed to nonviolence and living with the utmost compassion. I believe it was Martin Luther King, or was it Gandhiji? See, I always get confused with names about who said what. I'm really bad at that kind of thing. So please don't hold me accountable about who said this. I cannot. I'm for some reason cannot remember right now. But there's a saying, right, that an eye for an eye. Like if we stay committed to this ethic of an eye for an eye, will make the whole world go blind. See, and it's like this idea that you really cannot defeat and eradicate injustice and hate with more injustice and more hate. That when we use anger and hatred and these other kinds of negative emotions as the primary motivating force for our quest for justice, for correcting whatever wrong we perceive, then we are taking a real risk. And it's actually not even a risk. It's pretty much given that the consequence of our pursuit of justice with this anger and hatred and other negative feelings being the underlying motivation, we are just signing up for trouble. We are signing up for a future where more hate, more anger gets perpetrated, that gets spread like a virus from person to person. How many cases have we seen again and again and again and again throughout human history where, the oppressed become the oppressor, right? And this happens both at the level of nations and how entire nations of people act, and we also see this in very personal contexts, where there are feuds that go on between families, for example, for generations. And people can't even remember how it all got started, but these families are now in conflict and to the point where they're ready to kill each other and are killing each other. I mean, think of classic stories like Romeo and Juliet. It's like, what's up? like with these families just like hating each other and ready to kill each other and each other's children. And even at the level of, just like really, really personal relationships where, maybe you lose your friends and you cannot, because you cannot, find it in your heart to forgive and all that you lose your friends, you lose your sense of connection with your family members, and it's like it leaves a hole in your heart. At one level, it's like on the one hand, it's like because you continue to feel so angry towards them, you cannot continue to be with them. But on the other hand, it's like not having that person in your life. Maybe it was your brother, maybe your sister, maybe they used to be your best friend, or really close like business partner, or something like that. But now it's like they're being gone. Like it's left a hole in your heart. And that hole in your heart, it's like not just impacting your relationship with this person, but it's also impacting your other relationships that you have. Like maybe you are, because of what you have experienced with this person and how you are not able to forgive them or achieve closure in this particular context, you find yourself struggling to trust anyone else. All kinds of really negative consequences can follow, and really ultimately it just comes down to this core fact of this fact of life that you cannot eradicate darkness with more darkness. You need to shine light to eradicate the darkness, and hatred is like the darkness, and the darkness, by the way, is not a real thing in itself. That was like another, amazing lesson. And it took me a while to understand this and to understand the implications of this idea. The darkness is not a real thing. It's not a thing in itself. It's just an absence of light. Darkness is simply an absence of light. And in some very real ways, we can say the same thing about hate and love. That hate is in some very, very real ways not a thing in itself. It's not a real thing in itself. Hate is just an absence of love. It's just an absence of love. And like, what in the world am I talking about? I'm telling you, this one took me a while to like really understand. And like, if you think about it, see, what do I keep telling you about? Like, this is like a firm core belief that I have. It's for me, it's an axiom of life, of my philosophical beliefs and all that kind of stuff. This idea, this notion that all is one. We are all parts of an interconnected, interdependent whole. And love, if you remember, I did a whole series on love. It was like a few months back. It was actually right after Valentine's Day, for those of you who want to go back and listen to those episodes in case you started listening to this podcast after that time. for me, the way that I've come to understand love and the experience of love is it's as an experience of oneness with another. You see? And when you experience that sense of oneness with another, you just naturally feel compassionate towards them. You naturally feel empathy towards them. You naturally want to do unto them what you would have them do unto you. You want to naturally treat them like you want to be treated. You want to love for them what you love for yourself, because you experience a sense of oneness with them. Makes sense, right? Okay, so the real thing is love. Love, for me, is part of the essence of our natures, of our reality, of the reality of even the universe within which we exist. Because that reality is all is one. You see, and it is only insofar as we lose touch with that reality of all is one that we experience anything other than love in our lives and in our relationships. You see, it's to the extent that I don't not experience that sense of oneness with you that I will struggle to feel compassion for you, that I will struggle to feel empathy for you, that I will struggle to treat you with kindness and, all that other good stuff. So it's like literally when I connect back to my essence, when I connect back to the essence of even the reality of nature and the reality of our relationship, the fact that we are interconnected, the fact that we are interdependent, that we are both parts of the same whole. The moment I reconnect with this reality, I experience love. You see, so love is the fundamental consequence. It's the result. Look, all our feelings are a result, right, of the way that we think and the way we act and what we believe, by extension of the way we think and how we act, and therefore what we experience, right? So it's like the feeling of love is a result, but it's like when you're connected with reality as it really is, love is the natural consequence. So hate is in fact the thing that's not really real. Hate is the thing that happens in the absence of love. Hate is the thing that happens in the absence of love. It's like darkness happens in the absence of light. Darkness in itself is not the real thing. You see? So it's like, okay, all right. So what does this mean then in terms of our relationships, and when conflicts happen, and when one of us does great wrong, causes great hurt onto another? What does that mean? Well, look, what that means is that all the anger and the negativity and, all of these feelings, look, I'm not saying these feelings are wrong. I'm not saying that you should ignore them or suppress them. No, never, ever, ever do that. But remember, these feelings are just a signal from your heart, from your mind, that there's something that you need that you're not getting. And all your inner self, your heart, your mind, all they really want from you is for you to pay attention to these feelings so that you can take appropriate action to meet that need. Okay, which is like so essential for you to meet. Okay, and once you begin to take action to meet that need, these feelings just naturally begin to be resolved, and they will just go away. Okay, so if you think about it from that perspective, it's like, okay, if I'm feeling angry, if I'm feeling hateful in the aftermath of experiencing some trauma, being the victim of some crime or whatever, what is it that I'm really needing? What is it that I'm really wanting? And what are the best ways that I can meet that need? Do I need to hold on to the anger and the resentment in order to meet those needs? Actually, no, that's never the case. That's never the reason why your heart, your mind generates these feelings for you. It's not so you can hold on to them, because they're poison. We have established this, that holding on to anger, holding on to hatred, holding on to negative emotions, negative energy, it's like poison to you. So if your inner self, your heart, your mind, if they're generating these feelings, it is not so that you can hold on to them. It is just for you, just because they want you to pay attention to the unmet need and take action to meet it. So the question is, okay, what is it that you're really needing and wanting when you experience your sense of anger and hatred in the aftermath of being wronged? And what is the best way for you to meet those needs? So look, I'm looking at the time. And what I'm going to do is actually wrap up today right over here with this question. I want you to think about this question and let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think, is the answer to this question? And of course, I'll reflect on my answer, my understanding of the answer with you next episode. But in the meanwhile, I would love to hear from you on this or anything else that you may find yourself struggling with. Remember, you do not have to continue to struggle on your own. You'll make your life so much easier if you reach out for help and support. And I am one person that you can reach out to. And you know how to reach me. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com and click on the Contact Us page. And you'll see different options for how we can connect. So until we connect next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.